How to Become a Winner at Everything in Life. Carl Jung's Psychology of Success. What if I told you that one of history's most brilliant minds discovered the secret formula for becoming a winner at literally everything in life? Not just career success, not just relationships, but a complete transformation of how you approach every single challenge you face. Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychiatrist who revolutionized our understanding of the human mind, spent decades studying what separates winners from everyone else. And what he discovered will completely change how you see yourself and your potential. Before we dive deep, I need you to do something right now. Think of one area in your life where you feel stuck, where you keep hitting the same walls over and over again. Hold that thought, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why you've been struggling and, more importantly, how to break through permanently. If you're ready to unlock the psychology of winning that most people never discover, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We're about to embark on a journey that could literally transform your entire life. Today, we're diving into Jung's 7 fundamental principles that create unstoppable winners. These aren't just theories. They're battle-tested, psychological strategies that have helped thousands of people achieve extraordinary results. Chapter 1. The Shadow Integration Principle. Let me start with a story that will blow your mind. There was once a man who seemed to have everything: successful business, perfect family, respected in his community. But he had a secret. He was terrified of public speaking. This fear was destroying opportunities and eating him alive from the inside. Then he discovered Jung's first principle of winning: shadow integration. Within 6 months, he wasn't just speaking publicly, he was commanding rooms of hundreds, closing million-dollar deals, and had become the go-to person in his industry. What changed? He stopped running from his fear and started embracing it. Comment below. What's one thing about yourself you try to hide from others? Jung discovered that everyone has a shadow, the parts of ourselves we reject, deny, or are ashamed of. Here's the game-changing insight. Your shadow contains your greatest source of untapped power. Think about it this way. You know that person who annoys you the most, the one who's arrogant, selfish, or manipulative. Jung would say that you're seeing your own rejected qualities reflected back at you. But here's the twist. Those same qualities, when integrated properly, become your superpowers. That arrogance, it's actually confidence waiting to be channeled. That selfishness, it's self-care and boundary setting in disguise. That manipulation, it's strategic thinking and influence when used ethically. I'm going to give you a powerful exercise right now. Pause this video and write down 3 qualities you absolutely hate in other people. Go ahead, I'll wait. Got them. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Those are aspects of your shadow. The reason they trigger you so intensely is because you have those same capabilities within you, but you've banished them to your unconscious. Winners don't reject their shadow, they integrate it. They take those dark qualities and transform them into their greatest strengths. Steve Jobs was known for being demanding, perfectionist, sometimes even cruel. Most people would see these as negative traits. But Jobs integrated his shadow. He channeled his demands into creating revolutionary products. His perfectionism became the driving force behind Apple's success. He didn't deny these aspects. He owned them and directed them toward his vision. The losers suppress their shadow and wonder why they feel powerless. The winners integrate their shadow and unlock capabilities they never knew they had. But shadow integration is just the beginning. Jung discovered that there are 6 more psychological principles that separate true winners from everyone else. And the next one might be the most important of all. Chapter 2. The Individuation Process. Here's a question that will haunt you if you're honest. Are you living your life, or someone else's idea of what your life should be? Jung called the process of becoming your authentic self individuation, and it's the foundation of all winning. But here's what most people get wrong. They think individuation means being different just for the sake of it. That's not it at all. Individuation is about shedding everything that isn't truly you, so that your authentic power can emerge. It's like a sculptor removing everything from a block of marble that isn't the statue. I want to tell you about Maria, a lawyer who was miserable despite earning 6 figures. She followed every rule, met every expectation, climbed every ladder she was supposed to climb, but she felt dead inside. Then she discovered Jung's principle of individuation. She realized she had built her entire identity around what her parents wanted, what society expected, what would make her look successful. But none of it was actually her. We've just covered of life-changing psychological wisdom. But here's the reality. Knowledge without application is just intellectual entertainment. Jung didn't develop these principles as theories. He developed them as practical tools for transformation. Every single concept we've discussed can be applied starting today. Let me leave you with this. You have two choices. You can continue living the way you've always lived, getting the same results you've always gotten, or you can begin the journey of psychological mastery that transforms ordinary people into unstoppable winners. Stuart Maria, the unhappy lawyer, Sarah, the tennis player, Robert, the innovative CEO, Marcus, the fulfilled businessman. They all started exactly where you are right now, with knowledge and a choice. 1. Choose one principle from today's video that resonated most strongly with you. 2. Commit to practicing it for the next 30 days. 3. Document your results and notice what changes. 4. Share your experience in the comments below. If this video has given you a new perspective on success and winning, smash that like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell because we're just getting started with this journey into the psychology of extraordinary achievement. Next week, we're diving deep into Jung's techniques for developing intuitive decision-making, the skill that separates good leaders from legendary ones. You won't want to miss it. Remember, Jung once said, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." The winners of the world are those who have awakened to their full psychological potential. That journey starts now, and it starts with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we continue exploring the depths of human potential and the psychology of extraordinary success. The transformation began when she started asking different questions. What do I actually want? What energizes me? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail and nobody would judge me? I want you to ask yourself those same questions right now. And here's why this matters for winning. You cannot be truly successful at something that goes against your essential nature. You might achieve temporary wins, but they'll feel hollow, and you'll eventually burn out or self-sabotage. Jung discovered that we all wear masks. He called them personas. These are the roles we play to fit in, to be accepted, to meet expectations. The problem is that most people become so identified with their masks that they forget who they really are underneath. Winners understand that the persona is a tool, not an identity. They can put on different masks when needed, but they never lose touch with their authentic self. Here's Jung's framework for individuation. Step 1. Recognize your masks. What roles are you playing that don't feel authentic? The dutiful child, the perfect employee, the people pleaser? Step 2. Identify your core values. What matters to you when nobody else is watching? What principles would you never compromise? Step 3. Honor your unique gifts. What comes naturally to you that others struggle with? What do people always come to you for help with? Step 4. Integrate your opposites. We all have contradictory aspects. Maybe you're both logical and creative, social and solitary. Winners don't choose sides, they integrate both. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Early in her career, she tried to be like other news anchors. Serious, detached, professional. She was failing miserably. Her breakthrough came when she stopped trying to be someone else and started being authentically herself, warm, empathetic, curious, vulnerable. That authenticity became her superpower. People connected with her because she was real. She built an empire not by copying others, but by fully expressing who she really was. But here's what's fascinating. Jung discovered that individuation is just one piece of the puzzle. There's another principle that's equally important, and it has to do with how winners handle the forces they can't control. Chapter 3, The Synchronicity Advantage. What if I told you that winners don't just work harder? They work with forces that most people don't even notice exist? Jung discovered something that sounds almost magical, but is actually deeply psychological. He called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem to guide us toward our goals. But here's the key insight. Synchronicities don't just happen to lucky people. They happen to people who have developed the psychological awareness to recognize and act on them. Let me tell you about David, an entrepreneur who was struggling to get his startup off the ground. He'd been pitching to investors for months with no luck. Then one day he's at a coffee shop and overhears a conversation at the next table. A woman is complaining about exactly the problem his product solves. Now, most people would think, what a coincidence, and do nothing. But David had learned Jung's principles. He recognized this as a synchronicity. He politely introduced himself, and that conversation led to his first major investor and eventually to a multi-million-dollar exit. Think about this. How many coincidences have you dismissed that might have been opportunities in disguise? Drop a comment if you can think of one. Jung understood that synchronicities aren't supernatural. They're the result of a mind that's highly attuned to meaningful connections. Winners develop what he called an activated unconscious. Their minds are constantly scanning for patterns, opportunities, and connections that others miss. It's like the difference between walking through a forest as a tourist versus walking through it as a naturalist. The tourist sees trees. The naturalist sees an entire ecosystem of interconnected relationships. Here's how to develop your synchronicity awareness. Strategy 1, set clear intentions. Your unconscious mind is like a search engine. If you don't tell it what you're looking for, it can't help you find it. Winners are crystal clear about what they want, so their minds can spot relevant opportunities. Strategy 2, stay present and alert. Synchronicities happen in real time. If you're always distracted by your phone or lost in worry about the future, you'll miss them completely. Strategy 3, follow your curiosity. That random book that catches your eye, that event you feel drawn to attend, that person you feel compelled to meet. Winners follow these impulses because they often lead to unexpected breakthroughs. Strategy 4, act on meaningful coincidences. Recognition without action is worthless. When you notice a potential synchronicity, do something about it immediately. Jung discovered that synchronicities increase when you're aligned with your authentic path. It's as if the universe conspires to help you when you're moving in your true direction. This is why individuation and synchronicity work together. The more authentic you become, the more meaningful coincidences appear in your life. But even with perfect synchronicity awareness, winners still face massive challenges and setbacks. That's where Jung's next principle becomes crucial. It's about transforming your relationship with failure itself. Chapter 4, the active imagination technique. What if the most powerful tool for winning was something you already have but have never learned to use properly? Jung discovered that winners have a fundamentally different relationship with their imagination. While most people either ignore their imagination or let it run wild with worry and fantasy, winners use what Jung called active imagination as a precise tool for creating success. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is about using your imagination as a psychological laboratory where you can rehearse success, solve problems, and program your unconscious mind for victory. Let me tell you about Sarah, a professional tennis player who was good but not great. She was stuck at a plateau despite endless hours of physical practice. Then she discovered Jung's active imagination technique. Every night before bed, she would enter a deep, focused state and vividly imagine herself playing perfect tennis, not just seeing it, but feeling every muscle movement, hearing the sound of the ball, experiencing the emotions of flawless performance. Within 3 months, her game transformed. She started winning tournaments she'd never been able to win before. Her coach was baffled. Her physical training hadn't changed, but her performance had skyrocketed. Here's what was happening. Sarah's brain couldn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and real experience. When she practiced in her imagination, she was actually creating new neural pathways and programming her unconscious mind for success. Jung understood that imagination isn't separate from reality. It's the workshop where reality is created. Before I show you the technique, I want you to think about this. What would you attempt if you knew you could program your mind for success in advance? Keep that in mind as we go through this process. The Jung Active Imagination Protocol. Step 1. Enter the laboratory. Find a quiet space and enter a relaxed but focused state. This isn't meditation. You want to be alert and intentional. Step 2. Create the scenario. Imagine yourself succeeding at your goal in vivid detail. See it through your own eyes, not as an outside observer. What do you see, hear, feel, smell? Step 3. Feel the emotions. This is crucial. Experience the emotions of success. Confidence, satisfaction, joy, pride. Your unconscious mind programs itself based on emotions more than images. Step 4. Handle the obstacles. Here's where it gets advanced. Imagine obstacles and challenges arising. Then see yourself handling them masterfully. This programs resilience and problem-solving into your unconscious. Step 5. End with integration. Finish each session by imagining this successful version of yourself merging with who you are right now. Feel yourself becoming that person. Winners use active imagination not just for goal achievement, but for personality development. They imagine themselves embodying the qualities they want to develop. Courage, leadership, creativity, charisma. Muhammad Ali was famous for saying, "I am the greatest." Phase 1. Acknowledge both sides. Don't try to resolve the conflict immediately. Instead, fully understand and honor both perspectives. Each side usually contains important truth. Phase 2. Hold the tension. This is the hardest part. Resist the urge to choose sides or escape the discomfort. Stay present with the conflict without trying to fix it immediately. Phase 3. Wait for the third option. Jung discovered that if you can hold opposing forces in conscious awareness without collapsing into one side, a creative third option will emerge. This isn't forced. It arises naturally from the psyche. Phase 4. Act on the synthesis. When the transcendent solution appears, act on it boldly. These solutions often seem impossible at first, which is why most people never discover them. In career, instead of choosing between a secure job and entrepreneurial risk, create a side business while employed, then transition when ready. In relationships, instead of choosing between independence and intimacy, develop the security to be vulnerable and the strength to maintain your identity. In leadership, instead of being either directive or collaborative, develop the wisdom to know when each approach serves the situation best. Jung discovered that the transcendent function is actually how evolution works, not through choosing between existing options, but through creating entirely new possibilities. Winners are essentially evolution in action, constantly transcending their current limitations. Consider how Steve Jobs handled the conflict between simplicity and functionality. Instead of choosing between simple products that might be limited, or complex products that might be overwhelming, he transcended the conflict by creating products that were both incredibly sophisticated and elegantly simple. The iPhone wasn't simple or complex. It was a transcendent solution that made complex technology feel simple and intuitive. But the transcendent function requires one more crucial element that Jung considered the foundation of all psychological development, something he called the relationship with the self. Chapter 6. The Self-Realization Pathway. We've reached the most profound principle Jung ever discovered, the one that underlies everything else we've discussed. It's about connecting with what he called the self with a capital S. This isn't your ego, your personality, or your conscious identity. The self is the organizing center of your entire psyche, your ultimate source of wisdom, creativity, and power. Winners aren't just successful. They're connected to something deeper than their personal will. They operate from a place of wholeness that gives them access to resources most people never tap into. I want to tell you about Marcus, a businessman who had achieved everything he thought he wanted. Money, recognition, influence, but he felt empty inside. He was successful by every external measure but felt like a fraud. Then he began working with Jung's concept of self-realization. He started paying attention to his dreams, honoring his deeper values, and listening to the wisdom of his unconscious mind. Everything changed. His business decisions became more intuitive and more profitable. His relationships deepened. He started making choices that aligned with his deepest sense of purpose, not just his ego's desires for success. He didn't become less successful. He became successful in a completely different way. His achievements now had meaning and brought genuine fulfillment. Jung discovered that the ego is just a small part of who we are. Most of our psyche is unconscious. And within that unconscious lies the self, a wisdom that knows things our conscious mind cannot access. Winners learn to dialogue with this deeper intelligence. They make decisions not just from rational analysis, but from a place of inner knowing. Method 1, dream work. Your dreams are direct communications from the self. Start recording your dreams and looking for patterns and symbols. They often contain solutions to problems you're consciously struggling with. Method 2, active dialogue. Have conversations with your inner wisdom. Ask questions and listen for answers that come from beyond your normal thinking mind. Method 3, symbol recognition. Pay attention to symbols and images that repeatedly appear in your life. The self often communicates through symbolic language. Method 4, value alignment. Regularly check whether your actions align with your deepest values and sense of purpose. The self guides you toward what truly matters. Here's the culmination of everything we've discussed. Winners integrate all these principles into a unified approach to life. They face their shadow and integrate it into strength. Follow their authentic path through individuation. Recognize and act on synchronicities. Use active imagination to program success. Apply the transcendent function to transform conflicts. Connect with their self for ultimate guidance. This is your moment of truth. You now have access to the same psychological principles that create unstoppable winners. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge?